I have it printed out if you need it.
Oh, I brought one because I didn't.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Every day this week, roughly 40,000 fans are at Wimbledon watching high-level professional tennis at the highest level professional tennis tournament in the world. These lucky fans know that the best way to experience professional tennis is live. Now, there are all these distracting narratives about all-time records and off-the-court drama and the ever-present who wants it more. But instead today, I'd like to share my favorite feelings from watching pro tennis live, the sounds. When you enter a pro tennis tournament and you're punching your ticket in through the gate, you walk through, you start to hear the unmistakable sounds of tennis rackets hitting balls. It's not the twangy dinks of one of us amateurs using a $20 racket. It's not anywhere close to the high-pitched dings of a pickleball. It's a really precise and clean strike. It's loud. It has a very deep sound. It has a very precision of a whiplash. And as you walk towards the players' practice sessions, which are wide open for the public, you get to see the discipline with which they implement their tennis techniques. Each ball strike happens squarely in the middle of the racket face, and each shot is struck in exactly the same repeatable way. The subtle footsteps that the players take, the motion of how their legs and their trunk and their arms connect together to strike the ball and produce the right motion, implemented in the most consistent way possible so that they can hit the same shot from no matter where they are on the surface of the tennis court. And when we watch these practices between the two players, you feel, as you watch more and more practices, you feel this cadence of these percussive sounds that are very consistent across these sessions. At first, when the two players walk on court, they greet each other and they hit soft 50 to 60 balls back and forth just to loosen up, warm themselves up. And then the pace ramps up. The beats of every sound of contact on the racket, they get louder and quicker, and as the players exert more and more force on the ball. And then you hear the surge, the same loud, clear sound, but about 5 decibels louder, just very clear and almost feels like a shockwave as they kind of leap up and explode into the ball. Throughout the whole warm-up process, the rhythms and the sounds of the back and forth, the consistent pace, the steady timing of it is just truly entrancing. You hear the contact point on the racket. You feel the footsteps on the ground as everyone's scurrying around the tennis court. It's really, you see it and you hear it, and if you're a tennis player like myself, it makes you want to go back home and start hitting some tennis balls with your friends, work on your own game. Once you've had enough of the practice session, you get to walk over to the stadium court and see the real action. The warm-up's over, and people are playing for the big bucks right now. The smooth, consistent rhythms that you saw on the practice courts are long gone, and they're replaced by the high-speed chase competition. Where rubber meets the road, it's a very real thing here. You hear the utter abuse these people are putting on their shoes. Their sneakers scurrying, shrieking, and streaking across the surface, small steps, long strides, and clear, loud slides across the court as people are leaping to reach the ball and try to hit it just in time. In terms of gameplay, think cat and mouse. Each point starts with a thumping serve that the opponent just scrambles to barely get back in play. And the rallies develop as players exchange shots and they're manipulating and maneuvering each other's positions around the court, trying to move them around, pushing each other as hard as they can, further backwards, pulling them further inwards, side to side, diagonally. Most of the time, or a lot of the time, even just hitting it as hard as they can right to the person. Anything you can do to get the edge, to get that loose shot, just pounce on it. Both players' movements are quick and decisive. You hear the urgency in their footsteps as they're scrambling to just reach every ball and to make each millimeter count on the tennis court. And you hear the urgency and their breathing and their grunting as they're just really trying to make their game work as best as possible. Throughout the match, the oohs and ahs and applause emanate from the crowd. Cheering in between points starts out quietly at the beginning with unknown players and soon develops into a full-blown roar by the end of the match. Unlike a baseball game, tennis umpires demand complete silence from the audience. They're intended to take in the sounds of tennis, from the sounds of the balls to the shoes to the crowd. It really brings a whole nother dimension to what's on television. It gives you a whole new meaning to the phrase tennis racket. Thank you all.